Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mariana Pavlovskaya, Chair of Department of Geography and Environmental Science. Welcome to our annual awards reception. This year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is online. Also, we can't be together in one room, smile at each other directly, and give each other hugs. It is also an opportunity. So many guests, friends, and family members can participate who would not be able to attend in person. Let us try to make the best of being together virtually. Please make yourself comfortable and prepare to participate. Apologies in advance if something does not work as we planned. We are learning how to do it on the fly. Several important housekeeping items. Next slide, please. Okay. Could you advance one more slide, Jonathan? Thank you. Okay. The information about housekeeping also will be posted onto the chat. Please open your chat to see the instruction. For this event, we are going to have two sign language interpreters, Amy Hernandez and Michael Fisher. They will walk throughout the reception. Thank you guys very much for helping us today. They will be alternating in 20-minute shifts. I'm asking the interpreters to please raise your hand. Attendees who would like to use this service, please find the interpreters in the list of panelists, right-click and pin the video. In this case, the video will stay on your screen all the time. Please choose gallery view to see other speakers in addition to the interpreter. So now please go back. The slide, the previous slide, please. Okay, so now a few words about the program as a whole. The program notes will be available and we will post the URL to this file shortly in the chat. So you can always check the program when you need it. The reception overall will last about 2 hours and it has 3 parts. After I finish my remarks and State of the Department address, in part 1, we will honor our candidates for graduation in spring and summer 2020. Most students sent us their thoughts and remarks. We included them into the slideshow, but will not be able to read the entire text. We can fit it. Instead, this text will be available online and we will post the URL when it is ready. In the second part, we will recognize our students who submitted their work for annual departmental awards. In part 3, we will invite all students and their loved ones, as well as faculty and staff, to come up on screen live. This is the moment when we all will be together, albeit virtually, and would be able to greet each other and share our thanks. So now a few words about the state of the department. 2 slides forward, please. Oh, one more slide forward. Thank you. I would like to start by sharing a personal reflection. As a professor at this department, I find our academic programs in geography, environmental science, GIS, and remote sensing to be intellectually exciting. But it is hard to overemphasize how relevant they are to the world at this moment in time. Our programs focus on vital interactions between natural and social systems. Geographic concepts of place, space, scale, regions, and borders help to understand how near and far places are connected. Geospatial technologies provide unique analytical tools for examining those connections. In her lecture at our Geography Awareness Week last November, Yale's geography professor, Dr. Karen Sito, talked about climate change, poverty, and pandemics as global threats to humanity. What is happening in the world today and in New York City represents a dramatic illustration of how these threats can quickly interlock at different scales. Having originated in one location, the pandemic diffused globally in no time. National responses have been drastically different. Large urban centers proved to be highly vulnerable to contagion, but also able to mount collective defenses. At the personal and household scale, we participate in distancing and devise strategy to protect our loved ones. These dramatic times have shown that collective will can change the way we do things, that it is courage, solidarity, and mutual aid that can lead us out of the crisis and not the calculus of profit. This is true for the world, New York City, and our department. COVID-19 looms large, but so does the unfolding racial crisis. Let me be clearer, Black Lives Matter. Police brutality against people of color must stop. And so must stop the pandemic-related racial harassment of the Asian American community. Many medical and essential workers are people of color, and they are overrepresented among the sick, those who lost their jobs, and those who died. They also depend, like no one else, on public education and our public university. Cuts to CUNY will hurt them the most. Many of them are you, our students, and your family members, your parents, grandparents, siblings, cousins. So much is at stake for the future of our city, nation, and planet in this interconnected world. It makes me proud to be part of the department that produces the kinds of knowledge that can move us forward towards environmental and social sustainability. Now I would like to say a few words about our accomplishments over the last year. Today I have time to mention only some of them. Our faculty continue to pursue new research projects. I'm proud to announce that Professors Aidey Salmoun and Wenjie Niemeister are now principal investigators on highly competitive grants from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, known as NASA. Professor Salmoun will develop measurements of planetary boundary layer height, while Professor Niemeister will study snow vegetation demography interactions. Congratulations. Congratulations to Professors Randy Radberg, Aidey Salmoun, and Shipping Sun, who received competitive PSC CUNY research grants to study various aspects of climate change and public transit accessibility. And to Professor Andy Ryman, who received funding for his work on urban forest ecology from many sources, including New York State and the City, CUNY Climate Crisis Program, National Science Foundation, and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Great job, all of you. Moving forward, Professor Bill Selecki made us proud again. He became a recipient of the selective 2020 Gilbert White Distinguished Public Service Honor from the American Association of Geographers, our top professional organization. In addition, Bill co-authored several chapters in the famous IPCC special report on the impacts of global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade above pre-industrial levels. Also, thank you, Bill, for agreeing to serve as an interim chair of the department next year while I will be on sabbatical leave. I would like to welcome Bill into this role. Last April, we also had a great online celebration of the 50th Earth Day. Students presented their research and faculty discussed their new projects on climate crisis. The Earth Day event was largely organized by Greenbelt Society, which is a new student-led organization created by our environmental studies and geography majors. Students came together for intellectual exchange, professional development, and mutual support. Congratulations, and the best wishes of success in the coming years. I also want to recognize our professors, Aidey Salmoon, Enrique Lanzoca, and Ramiro Campos, for supporting the students, their ideas and initiatives. Your amazing dedication made our department so much better place for our majors. Finally, it was great to see that our GIS expertise was useful for Hunter College efforts to reach to students in need. Professor Shona Hearn prepared maps of students' locations, using which Hunter College delivered to particular neighborhoods. Many of them are communities of color, laptops, other technology, and food. This is an example of geography in action. I am concluding my remarks with thanks to those who made the department stronger during this life-changing era. Next slide, please. Okay, so can we go back? Sorry, okay, we don't have those photos. It's fine. All right, so let me start the best part, which is thanking people for amazing work they are doing. So when the pandemic struck, neither students or faculty were prepared to shift to distance learning, particularly in 1 week and in the middle of surging illness, anxiety, and grief. First of all, I would like to thank all our full-time and adjunct faculty, staff, and the students for the unbelievable effort that you all made. Thank you for countless hours you put in preparing for teaching online, for sharing the materials and tips with each other, and for providing emotional support to our students. Our sense of community has grown as a result. We feel greater connection to each other. Special thanks to staff for supporting the department, both face-to-face and online. Thanks to our IT administrator, Nguyen Ngoc, and Amy Ju, our college lab technician, for their amazing efforts. To Mimosa Frankfurt, our new assistant to Chera, for working into the department in the middle of this year and offering help above and beyond her obligations. Thanks to Martha Taili, our administrative assistant, for stepping up and helping the department run when we had no assistant to Chera for several months. Thanks to our college assistant, Cristina Santiago, for her amazing help with all kinds of projects. Finally, thanks to Cornell Mannequin for taking great care of our rock collections for numerous geology labs we teach every single semester. Hunter College administration has supported our department in so many ways. I am grateful to President Rao, Provost Kaufman, and Dean Polsky. Welcome, Andy, if you are here. Deep gratitude to our generous award sponsors, Alice Hudson and New York Map Society, Miriam and Saul Cohen, Jack Eichenbaum, and Society of Women Geographers. Your support mattered this semester more than ever. ICED offered us so much help this year with all possible issues related to technology, and also made this virtual awards reception possible. Here are also special thanks to our own staff, Amy, Christina, and Mimosa, for putting such a great effort into this event. Thanks to faculty, who hopefully will be able to make this day memorable for our students. Lastly, thank you to all students. You persevered through this semester. Thanks to your family and friends for supporting you throughout. Welcome all. So next slide, please. Now we are starting part 1, devoted to students graduating in spring and summer 2020. While your official graduation ceremony will be in January, today we recognize that you have achieved such an important milestone. We celebrate those several years you spent with us, took our courses, walked in our hallways, and worked hard on various research projects. Your university degree is one of the greatest awards you have earned. We are proud of your achievements, and especially of the fact that you have completed your studies despite the disruption of the pandemic. So right now, we have a video congratulations from Hunter College President Jennifer Raab.
Welcome, I'm Jennifer Raab, and I have the wonderful privilege to congratulate the Hunter graduating class of 2020. As your college president, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you and how much the faculty and I wish we could all be together. We hope we will see each other in an amazing in-person commencement in January of 2021. In the meantime, you are graduating at a remarkable time in our school's history, and not just because of the pandemic. This year is the 150th anniversary of Hunter College, a school that can get through 2 world wars, a Great Depression, distance learning, and now a Zoom graduation celebration, is an unstoppable force, flexible, strong, and committed. And that describes you too. You have worked so hard and overcome so many obstacles to get to this momentous day. You have impressed your families, your professors, yourselves, and certainly me. Our Hunter motto is Mihi Cura Futuri, the care of the future is mine. As you go forth to care for the future, the wind beneath your wings is your Hunter education. We celebrate all that you have accomplished, and we cannot wait to see what you do next. Congratulations to the brilliant and resilient Hunter class of 2020. You did it.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, can you move it back, please? Okay, I think now we would have to make an adjustment to the slideshow. The part of the ceremony that we are about to start is to go through slides celebrating our individual students who are graduating this spring or in the summer. So I think we have a technical program. So what I would like to do right now is to turn to our amazing valedictorian, Evelyn Tawil, who is a geography major. And she was excited to share her thoughts with us. Evelyn, please, can you come up?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Very good.
Okay, great. Hello, class of 2020. I'm honored to get to speak in front of some of the most amazing professors that I had a chance to learn from, as well as many of my classmates that I never really had a chance to say goodbye to. I wanted to share a little story of my geography journey and how this department has helped me in ways I didn't even know I needed help. So here it goes. When I was a little kid, I loved science. I was fascinated by the deep ocean, explosive volcanoes, gorgeous animals. It came to the point where I even started memorizing the periodic table for fun. Yes, I was that kid. But when I went to high school, my enthusiasm for science transformed into dread. I was completely turned away from the study. In fact, as a college graduate, I'm not afraid to admit that I used to go to orchestra practice in order to avoid chemistry class. When I entered Hunter College, I was more than happy to take the one required course and sign away science for the rest of my educational career. I honestly didn't even know that Hunter had a geography department. Then I took my first geology course with Professor Randy Ruppberg. I have to admit it was simply in order to fill a core, but I couldn't help it. I fell in love again. As many graduates have experienced, the time had come where I was being threatened on multiple fronts to declare my major. So I thought, geography, maybe, but where will this get me in life? What can I possibly do with a geography major? Out of time, I took the leap of faith, and there it was, my new family, the Geography and Environmental Science Department. From the moment I declared my major, I did not have a doubt in my mind that I was in the right place. And here's why. Hunter is a big place. As freshmen, we arrive on our first day, and suddenly the West Building opens his mouth and swallows us whole. There are protests in the front, people shoving flyers in our face by the third floor escalator. And if we take a moment to reminisce, there's that feeling of jamming yourself into extremely close quarters with a bunch of strangers as you ride the North Building elevators. You are just one in 23,000 students. But the 10th floor is different. It's homier. The more classes I took, the more relevant my studies became. We are living in a time where one can't escape environmental studies. Environmental sustainability has infused itself into every crevice of our society: the food sector, real estate, manufacturing, medicine, health, and my favorite, architecture. As I delivered this speech in times of social distancing, we are first-handedly seeing the importance of geographic technology in tracking disease outbreaks and visualizing their predicted outcomes. Geography isn't simply a study. It's our social, political, and environmental world as we know it, all wrapped up in one. Now, when I walk through the streets of Manhattan, I can't help but wonder how much energy is being wasted to light up retail stores around the clock. When I pour out the extra water from my water bottle at the end of the day, I find myself thinking of our water system and how we New Yorkers take for granted the clean water that flows through the tap. I see immense environmental opportunity in our beloved city. But I understand that not everyone is a geography major. And however, I can say with a degree of certainty that in today's day and age, environmental science will creep its way into nearly every sector. So it's time to ask yourself, who are you and what do you want? Don't miss the boat. Be proactive. Understand that we are all a crucial part in the bigger system. The path is yours to take. But you must find yourself a home, as I did in the geography department. Surround yourself by your passion, and more importantly, by people who share that passion. And don't forget that as of now, we only have one Earth. Best of luck, class of 2020.
Thank you very much, Evelyn. That was most amazing. That was absolutely wonderful reflection on your time with our department, and also very thoughtful reflection on the role of geography and environmental science in the world today. I'm so happy that you know, they made up your professional development and your future career. We are very, very excited. Congratulations once more to be our valedictorian. That was absolutely amazing. So right now, can we have next slide, please? Okay, so right now we are moving to the part of the reception in which we will acknowledge our students who intend to graduate in spring and summer 2020. Okay, so right now I'm going to invite our amazing advisors, Professor Aidey Salmoon, Professor Ellen Fry, Professor Peter Marco Tullio, and Professor Shona Hearn to say a few words about students. Welcome.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Alan Fry.
Next slide, please.
Next slide. Yes, so I'm the advisor for the students getting degrees, bachelor degrees in geography. And just in general, I'd like to say that it's such a pleasure. It's most of my job satisfaction comes with getting to know students. And as a group, they've expressed gratitude for our program and our professors. They've expressed a lot of personal gratitude to the people in their lives, and that's so important. I will not discuss those personal wishes, but you could see them on the program. And I do apologize in advance if I do pronounce anybody's name incorrectly. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes, so there is Angelica Politi. Angelica has a background in environmental science. After taking some courses, she realized that geography is much more than she initially thought. She fell in love with the idea that people and their environment are connected in so many ways. And in geography, she could make a difference in the world. After graduation, she would like to complete a GIS certificate and get a job where she can have a positive impact on the world. Angelica appreciates the patience and understanding of our professors. In particular, she thanks Professors Ibrahim and Miyares. Next slide, please. Okay, Cheek lay sec. Cheek was always interested in maps, how they are made, and was encouraged by a professor in his country of origin, which is Senegal. Hunter was his top option as he was transferring from BMCC because he heard such great things about our program. And one of his best experiences was creating his own GIS project that he was very proud of. He is planning on getting an internship and then going to graduate school for a master's degree. Sheikh thanks many professors, in particular his mentor, Professor Sun, for his tireless support and guidance throughout this terrible semester. Next slide, please. Yes, Connie Koo. Connie believes that our courses are most relevant in making our world a better place by conserving our environment and understanding the relationship between humans and their environment from different perspectives. Her best experience was a class trip to Black Rock Forest because of the mixture of learning indoors and outdoors. Connie plans to work for a nonprofit focused on food justice and environmental stewardship. And Connie finds the professors at Hunter College inspirational, understanding, and she appreciates that we teach students how to think. Next slide, please. Destiny Kelly chose our GIS program because it is unique and integrates a broad approach combining geospatial techniques, quantitative methods, and critical thinking. Destiny's, one of her biggest satisfaction was managing to maintain straight A's and being accepted into the honors programs Gamma Theta Epsilon and Phi Beta Kappa while battling a major illness. So kudos to Destiny for that accomplishment. Her future plans are to apply GIS skills to solving problems at the governmental level and eventually to return to school for an advanced degree in data science. And her particular thanks are for Dr. Sun for his guidance and mentorship. Next slide, please. Evelyn Tawil, who you just heard from, graduating with honors. And as you know, she's one of the Hunter College valedictorians. She told you how she loves science and math, how she was inspired by Professor Rutberg. Her best experience, or one of her best experiences, was working hard late at night for a GIS course because she got closer to her classmates through their mutual struggles and their laughter and, quote unquote, losing their minds together. And I don't think she mentioned it, but she's already been accepted this fall to the Masters of Landscape Architecture program at City College, while she is also pursuing summer work and possibly internship related to her interests. She thanks all her geography professors for providing individual attention and genuine interest. And in particular, she thanks Professors Marcatulio and Fry. Next slide, please. Miralem Desek, graduating with honors. Miralem has a great thirst for knowledge about the social and physical environment that we live in. His best experience was also a field trip to Black Rock Forest, more than one actually, which creates bonding experience with other classmates and provided fieldwork experience. After graduation, Miralem plans to continue on to a master's program in urban sustainability at City College. He would like to thank the entire department, but in particular, Professors Buonaiuto, Ryman, Carboni, Salmoon, Campos, and Adikisavan for their support. Next slide, please. Jacob Rogers, graduating with honors. Jacob chose our program because of his love for the environment and interest in understanding Earth systems. His best experiences, 2 field trips. Field trips are great, as you can hear from all these testimonies. One was to Black Rock Forest and one was to the Department of Environmental Protection site at Newtown Creek. And he likes the field trips because, quote, they were great hands-on experiences that many people do not get to partake in, unquote. After graduation, he is participating in the New York City Accelerator Training Program through the Office of the Mayor's Office of Sustainability. And after that, he's interested in contributing to efforts to feed the world's population. Jacob thanks all the professors and administrators, in particular, Professor Salmoon, for being such a great mentor and motivator, as well as Professors Marcatulio, Miares, Fry, Niemeister, and Walter. Next slide, please. We have a few people I'll name that did not, were unable to send us information. Ariana Montalvo, David Parada, Hazel Lynn, who graduated with honors, Kaushik Pilapakam, Shakira Fernandez, and Xavier Fernandez. So those are our graduates with bachelor's degrees in geography. And I turn the program back to Professor Pavlovskaya. Mariana, unmute yourself.
There you go. So much, Professor Fry, for finding so many special words about our students. Right now, I'm turning over to Professor Aidey Salmoon, our Environmental Studies Advisor.
Thank you, Mariana. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes.
And I'm just, it is a pleasure for me to be able to name and say a few words about this amazing, formidable group of environmental studies students. Many of them I had the pleasure to have in my classes, and all of them I've seen, I've talked to, have made me smile, have, well, given me some headaches also. So can we go to the next slide, please? Carl Banco is a bachelor's degree in environmental studies, and he makes me smile with this comment about practicality. I've had him in my classes and I can understand his pragmatic approach. I congratulate him. His best experiences have been making friends with classmates and teachers. He will continue on with a career on environmental studies, and he thanks his parents for their endless support. Next slide, please. Christine Areen chose environmental studies. She's graduating with honors in our major. Because while I have, as she in her own words, bounced back and forth between majors, she remembered that environmental study had been her passion since high school. Once again, we see that our students appreciate the field trips. Black Rock Forest will feature in all their memories, and I hope they will remember that for life. She will work to expand her experience related to the major before applying to graduate school. And she would like to thank all the professors and friends and family. Next slide, please. Cristina Russo. You can see her smile. She has always put a bright light in my office every time she came for advice. She chose environmental studies because, as we've also heard, it addresses some of the most important issues we face today. And I dare to say in the near and long-term future, her best experience has been to be in our classes, to be part of a community, to be with students. I do note that most of our students find a very knit community in our department, and that's very pleasing. She's taking GIS courses and will continue with her GIS certificate. And okay, so she wants to thank me, and I appreciate her thanks. She also wants to appreciate Professor Marco Tullio for being a great capstone advisor. Next slide, please. Diana Polonska, also graduating with honors. I've had the pleasure of having Diana in 3 classes, and I have always been challenged by her questions, and I'm glad to see her going, although I will miss her. She chose the program because she enjoyed nature, and she found that that was the best way to do science and applied science. She has had very many good experiences, and the classes in particular, and she plans to continue work and research and think a little bit about how to pursue a career in environmental science. She wants to thank me, thank you, Diana, and also Andrew Riemann, with whom she did a wonderful capstone honors work. Unfortunately, I get my, Frank Bonayuto, Enrique Lanz, Oka, Ramos Campos, Ramiro Campos, actually, Jochen Albrecht, and Manju Adikesaban. I am also going to apologize for mispronouncing many of your names. Next one, please. Next slide, please. Emily Lee, also graduating with honors in environmental studies. She was intrigued by the whole field of the environment, by her own environment since she was very young. And she found that the Hunter Department Geography of our department, Geography and Environmental Science, offered many of the courses. And she then found out that the professors were fantastic, and they gave her an opportunity to explore and to pursue her passion. She has enjoyed all our classes, and she plans to pursue a master's degree, and she also wanted to thank Macaulay College, Honors College. And can we go to the next slide, please? Gabrielle Blevins, also graduating with honors. I said from the start, we have a formidable group of students. She chose environmental science program because she was able to work towards social equality through environmental justice very timely topic. Her best experience was working on her thesis and being able to use the concepts that she learned in classes on her own work. She plans to look for work, internship, jobs in public policy and environmental remediation. And she wants to thank her family, her friends, and also many professors, particularly Professor Rutberg, Campos, and Pablo Skaya for believing in her ideas and supporting her. Next one, please, next slide. Kelly Chen, bachelor's degree and honors in environmental studies. She was always interested in studying animal behavior, and she found that our program would allow her to immerse herself in research related to her interests. She wants to thank people like Joshua Plotnick and other Thai students. And she worked closely with Jennifer Pokorny from the Thin Elephant International Organization. She plans on taking a year gap, or maybe a few years gap, sorry, a few gap years, and further explore conservation in research. She wants to thank all these associates and people in our department, particularly Professor Fry, Marco Tullio, and Professor Sun for introducing her to art. Very good. Next one, please. Maninder Kaur, she is also, I had the pleasure of having her in my classes. She chose the environmental studies program because she is a nature lover and because she believes that the best way to appreciate our planet is indeed to understand it. Here we see again Black Rock Forest Trip and Professor Reinman as one of the leaders of these trips, and that is one of her best experiences, and she would like to start a career in environmental conservation and wants to thank all her professors and friends and parents. Next one, please. Rebecca Lisandratos, she's a Macaulay Honors. She is also graduating with honors in environmental studies. Rebecca also was in my classes from Introduction to Oceanography, and from there we developed a relationship that led us to be able to work together for her capstone. She spent some time out at sea making measurements because she won a very good summer research opportunity at MIT. And as she says, some of her interest is marine science, in particular large mammals in the ocean, and her best experiences have been a little bit with us and a little bit with some of the summer and internships that she won whilst being a student with us. Eventually, Rebecca will go to a PhD or a master's in marine biology, and she wants to thank me, Professor Rutberg and Professor Bonaiuto for all the help, and I am sure she also appreciates friends and family. Next one, please. Richard Cespedes, that he was interested in Earth as a system, and he feels that he made a good choice. Indeed, we have a good program in that. Walking through Central Park every morning was one of his best experiences. I share that with him. I also walk through Central Park every morning when I go to Hunter. He plans to continue with summer internship, and the world is open to him. Wants to thank all the professors and CUNY staff, etc., in helping him negotiate his academic life. Next one, please. Wyatt Cobb, he's graduating now, and his concentration is policy and management, and his passion is to ensure that the natural world is preserved in the future. Very commendable aim. His best experience at Hunter College was creating a sustainability conference with a good friend for CUNY students. He plans to engage in environmental consulting, and he would like to thank me and the Green Initiative Fund and other my cutting sometimes is because the chat comes exactly in the middle of my screen, so I apologize for that. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. We have not, these two last graduates were not able to send us their words, but we also have Elliot Zeigner and Juan Osorio Cruz graduating in this group. Thank you very much. I would like to use 1 minute of your time while this is going on to say in closing, and with my heartfelt congratulations to all our students, I would like to note that we're celebrating your graduation during the month of June, a month that has been declared the National Ocean Month. Please, as you go on to whatever wonderful journeys you're starting, keep those oceans in your minds and in your hearts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aide. That was very, very special. And I can tell that you know those students so well, and they do know you as well and appreciate all the work that you and Ellen and everyone else in this department are doing. So right now we are moving to our Masters of Arts in Geography students, and I am inviting our graduate advisor for this program, Professor Peter Morcatulio. Welcome, Peter.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
We don't see you though.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oh, do you want to see me? Okay, so here I am.
Oh, there you go. Hi, Peter.
Can you see me now?
Very well.
Thank you. So it's my pleasure and honor to introduce our master's graduates this year. As many of you know, we have a vibrant master's program where we get people from around the city studying a wide variety of issues. So this is a short list, and I think there are more people in the pipeline, but we'd like to honor these that are graduating this semester and during the summer. So can we see our first graduate is Tim Lau, who wrote his thesis under the tutelage of Professor Pawlenskaya and Professor Sun. His thesis was entitled The Mapping Ecological Futures Towards a Cartography of Climate Science. And as you'll see, many of our master students are working at the same time that they're going to school. His plans are to continue working. He's a staff writer for a New York City-based not-for-profit, and he wants to continue doing that into the future. Next slide. Here we have Christopher Cadeau, and his thesis title is Sea Level Rise Effect on Property Values in Coastal Staten Island, New York. Mr. Cadeau is working with Professor Salicki and Professor Sun, and he should be graduating this summer. Congratulations to him. Next slide. This is Robert Abgel, and he's currently working in the Department of Finance as a tax assessor, but he's really interested in LiDAR. And he has a very interesting thesis, estimating canopy height from GEDI, which is on the space station, I think, compared to the land, vegetation, and ice airborne sensors across New England. He had something interesting to say about the program. He says it punches above its weight, both in terms of faculty and students. And he is very grateful for our graciousness and the information we provided him. Last but not least, we have, next slide is Akil Sandy. Akil Sandy worked with me and Professor Albrecht, and he has recently passed his comprehensive exam, and he submitted his report, so he's all finished. His interests are broad and wide, and he's done some work with GIS and wants to do more data science programming, as well as lots of other activities. He is currently a consultant with New York City, working on expanding workflow for different projects, but would like to work with engineers on infrastructure related to sustainability, particularly with bridge, dams, and power plants. So those are the four that are graduating now and during the summer. Congratulations to all of them. Good work, and best wishes for your future success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. It was great. Now I'm asking our Professor Shona Hearn, who is a graduate advisor for our MGOI program and GIS certificate, to introduce the graduating students. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you, Mariana. It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations to all those who are going out in the world and using the tools of the trade. Now, the Masters of Geoinformatics is a combination of learning the tools of the trade, how to analyze phenomena in space, time, and across different scales, as well as understanding how to solve problems and how to even fashion problems. And so our students learn the combination of problem-solving tools and the theoretical framework for doing their research, and we have a broad variety of applications. You name it, we can apply these ideas and technologies to a range of them. So the next slide, please. Okay, Freddie Nguyen, he's actually been in the system for a while. I communicate a lot with Freddie, and back in 2013, he chose GIS at Hunter College because we were kind of one of the few who did it, and I think we're moving beyond where we were then with our new geoinformatics program, several years old. And his best experience was working with his fellow cohorts. He plans to work in the city government as a GIS analyst, and he wants to thank everybody. Special thanks to myself, thank you, Freddie, and Johan Albrecht, graduate advisors in geoinformatics. And good luck, Freddie, with your next step after graduating. Next slide, please. Ryan Lemon, his thesis title is The Relationship Between Spring Climate and Deciduous Forest Phenology in Urban Areas of the Northeast United States. And he's enjoyed learning how to use GIS and remote sensing for plant phenology. He wants to continue doing ecological research using satellite imagery. While studying at Hunter, he published 2 tutorials on open source GIS. He hopes to encourage others to become citizen scientists using freely available data analysis tools. So a real champion of open source GIS tools and software. Congratulations, Ryan. Next slide, please. Zachary Connor. Zach has many different interests, diverse interests revolving around remote sensing and limnology. He's lived on Long Island most of his life. And he found that Hunter offered him a comprehensive program in geographic technologies. And he would like to thank myself and Professor Niemeister on the decisions that he made and configuring his graduate program. And he was able to intern at the New York City Department of Transportation during the time he was also graduating. And I would say most of our students are doing internships or even working full-time. So it's a pretty heavy lift for the students to manage that. And I would say that all of our geoinformatics students, are getting jobs many times before they even graduate. And Zachary's a good example of that with his internship. I think he's searching around. The pandemic, I think, has thrown a wrench in everybody's future plans. But I think the tools and ideas that they've learned in the program are going to help them, and things are going to open up for them as they move on. He wants to thank myself, Professor Niemeister, Professor Sun, and thanks his family and friends for their great support over the last 2 years. Congratulations, Zachary. Next slide, please. And is that a blank slide? Is that Lucas Rekos? Master's degree in geoinformatics. I know what Lucas is involved in. Lucas is a very good thinker, very deep thinker, and he's working with Professor Niemeister on remote sensing of vegetation. I think it's above the Arctic Circle. He's looking at how that vegetation's signatures has changed as we had a lot of the permafrost disappearing over the last 15 to 20 years. So a very interesting study with Professor Niemeister. I'm the second person on the committee. And I've had a lot of long talks with Lucas, and I've really enjoyed interacting and working with him. So congratulations, Lucas. Next, so another slide. Okay. Next up is the Geoinformation Certificate Program. And here we're really focusing on core tools of the technology, whereas the geoinformatics was, both are tools in problem solving. Obviously, the geoinformatics is a full master's program. The Geographic Information Science Certificate is 15 credits. Next slide, please. Kelly Burns, we don't have any information on her, but congratulations, Kellen, on finishing the GIS certificate. Next, please. Oh, okay, just one.
Yes, I think this is the end. Sean,
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
I think it is very, very clear that our master's programs are very strong. GIS certificate actually is doing also very, very well. So we are looking forward to growing those programs further, and we are so happy that our students get great jobs, not only after graduation, but still while they're still in the program. So at this point, I would like to congratulate all the students who were mentioned today and wish you the best of luck in your careers. Times are difficult, but you know, we really believe that you will do great. And all our department is going to be rooting for you. So keep in touch. Let us know how it's going to turn out. We would be proud to post a little interview with you on our website, right? So we have a lot of graduates who shared their stories on our website, and we would be excited to hear from you. So now I would like to move to the second part of our awards reception. And this one actually is about departmental awards. I think we have a wrong slide right here. So Evelyn already did that. So can we have the next slide, please? So our first award, yes, presentation of the awards, great. So our first award is Alice Hudson Map Award, okay? And I'm gonna ask several people to introduce the award and the winning entries. And these people are Steve Hannon, President of New York Map Society. He will introduce Alice Hudson and the award itself. Then the judges who were making determination about the submitted maps included Vice President of New York Map Society, Laura Ten Eyck, and two of our professors, Jochen Albrecht and Peter Marcotulio. So Laura Ten Eyck and Jochen Albrecht will introduce the entries and share their thoughts about the winning submissions. Please come forward.
So Mariana, this is Steve.
Yes.
Do I go now? I thought I was going to introduce the award, right?
Sorry, say it again, Steve. Can we move forward the slide?
Yeah, I thought I was going to introduce the award, the Alice Hudson Award.
Yes. There you go. Yes, please do.
There we go. Well, hey, good afternoon. Thank you very much. My name is Steve Hannon. I am the president of the New York Map Society. It's a pleasure to be here today to honor the student scholars who have submitted their submissions for the Alice Hudson Award in cartography. I'm joined here today by my fellow New York Map Society members, Andrew Kapachunas, our secretary and webmaster, and a well-known collector of Lithuanian maps, and Laura Ten Eyck, who's a vice president of our society, and also a judge here today on the awards. I really have to say I'd like to congratulate the students today who are graduating, as well as the faculty, staff, and the Department of Geography and Environmental Science on persevering this year under what we hope are unusual circumstances. I'd like to send special thoughts to those students who are graduating and will be pursuing careers in the field of geography and environmental sciences. So congratulations, your stories were really phenomenal, touching and heartwarming, and I feel really proud to be here with you today. It's really tremendous. Congratulations. So the New York Map Society members currently include scholars, librarians, collectors, artists, dealers, and designers, and people who just like maps, both fictional and real, old and new. The Society serves as a community organization, and we offer public information about and the ability to connect with maps in various ways. We typically host a speaker series where speakers and authors and map collectors come together to learn and celebrate new discoveries. We share ideas, we have fun, and I'd like to offer you all an invitation to come be with us. You're welcome to come to any of our meetings. I think some of the research you're doing is tremendous, and you would have, I think, a lot to add, either as a speaker or a participant. So please check out our website, the NewYorkMapSociety.org. You can learn about us, but I think you guys would be really a tremendous addition to our society. And as a leading map society, we decided that it would be appropriate to support scholarship in a way that would, in the way of an award in honor of one of our most distinguished members, Alice Hudson. Maps are powerful tools for helping us visualize and understand our world. Maps have the ability to transform the way we think about place, urban development, war, and to solve complex problems. Their relevance is just as important in the digital age as in the Gilded Age of Dutch cartography. I'm continually amazed at the vast and expanding application of maps as either art, storytelling aids, persuasive aids, and increasingly as analytical tools to visualize and help to solve problems. I read an article several weeks ago where a cartographer used geolocation data and subway turnstile statistics in the New York City subway system to visualize the spread of the coronavirus from the Queen 7 train through Grand Central and into Manhattan's West Side. And this is strikingly similar to the work of Dr. John Snow, the work he did in London in 1854 to pinpoint the source of the Great London Cholera outbreak. And he pinpointed the source as an infected water pump on Broad Street, when the prevailing wisdom was that it was just in the air. So, I mean, to me, that was pretty amazing. I think earlier in the presentation, we talked about the relevance of mapping and problem solving, and it seems to be, growing, and I think that's just tremendously exciting. Alice Hudson was a force in the field and is a force in the field of map librarianship during both its formational period in history and over the course of her decades-long career. She's helped to guide and mentor countless scholars, colleagues. Her curatorial and collection work at New York Public Library helped establish the library's map collection as one of the premier public map collections in the world, and her research into the history of cartography, particularly her work centering on the women in cartography, continues to inform and inspire today's researchers. We had the pleasure several years ago, I think this picture is from that exhibition, to attend an exhibition of that Alice essentially curated at the Boston Public Library. It was really, really fabulous to get her perspective on the various roles women played, both in, as cartographers, as colorists, as map dealers. Many in times when it was not allowed for a woman to own a business, they would take over their business when the husband died. Very fascinating. Alice joined the New York Public Library right after graduating from Middle Tennessee University and the Peabody School at Vanderbilt with a master's in library science. Alice went on to have a distinguished career in the field of library science, cartography, and as an educator. Her awards are too many to really name, but I'll pull out a few here because I think they're worth mentioning. She's won the Sloan Award for Public Service, a fund for the City of New York, in March of 2001. She was awarded by Hunter College, City of New York, the Geology and Geography Department, Anastasia Van Berkelau Award for Distinguished Service, 1994. I know that's a very, very honored award in the College of Geography and Environmental Science, so congratulations to her for that. And Alice also taught honors classes in cartography at both the Rare Book School at University of Virginia and the Pratt School, and right here at Hunter College in the Department of Geology and Geography. I know you've changed your name over the years, but when she taught, that's what I think it's called. And perhaps the best example of Alice's impact can be gleaned from testimonials you can read on our webpage, but I'll close by reading one from Kate Cordes, Assistant Director of Maps and Local History at the New York Public Library, and also a graduate from Hunter College's Department of Geology and Geography. And these are Kate's words. My very first job while still in library school was a part-time position in the map division at the New York Public Library. Even though I was brand new to the field, I knew I was incredibly fortunate to be working with such a stellar team of professional librarians. Alice Hudson was the chief of the division at the time, and it was from her that I learned that what it meant to be a research librarian. Back then, I wasn't aware of her reputation in the field of map librarianship, nor her role in the development of the rich collections at the NYPL. What I did know was that I was lucky to be working with someone who so clearly embodied her love of history and cartography and was dedicated to sharing her knowledge and expertise with the public. Whoever came through the doors of the map division, from school children to scholars, were welcomed equally and fully by Alice and her staff, and were furnished with the information and collections specific to their needs. Alice provided a model of public service that has been foundational for me, and her dedication to the mission of the library, to the collections, and to her staff have deeply influenced my career. Now that I manage the map collections of the library, my hope is to be able to live up to her reputation in my own way and to keep her legacy alive at the library. So we can still see Alice. She comes to many of our meetings, and she was not able to be here today, but I'm sure she'd love to congratulate you all and thank you for participating in this year's awards. So thank you all very much. And now to Professor Albrecht to announce and go over the submissions. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, and my congratulations as well to all the people that we have honored so far. In our next round, I would like to introduce the 4 students who submitted maps, sometimes multiple maps, to various categories. We have 2 categories in distinguishing between static maps, the traditional maps that we know, and online or internet-based maps. And then we also had nominations from folks at both the undergraduate and the graduate level. Of the submitted maps and the printed map category, we have Kimura presidents who looked at an issue that is dear to many of our students, the issue of accessibility. In this case, it is the accessibility of public libraries and how they can be accessed both by public transit, but also by types of populations. Arguably, public libraries are of higher importance to folks who do not have all the books back at home. And so she did a little GIS project and then created a map of that. In the category of printed maps, Horia Popper, a GIS certificate student of ours, submitted a map on rankings of vacant lots. That is the outcome of a really intensive GIS project. And his map tried to summarize about a dozen different variables looking at the individual maps. I believe we actually have each of those maps as submissions. So if you could move on to the next slide. Yes. Sorry, so this was the accessibility map for public libraries. And then if we go one step further, next slide. Yes, this is the GIS map. And this is a static map here, but it actually is a map of maps. So at the bottom, you see each of the indicators chosen, and each indicator itself is a summary of multiple variables. So there's a lot of GIS that went into this and a rating mechanism to arrive at those rankings of vacant lots, which is a hot topic given that we have a housing crisis and we don't really know where to put new housing. Next slide, please. Here we have a set of 4 maps which get us a little bit closer to high-level visual quality. So here the emphasis is not as much on the GIS data input, but creating a set of maps that are visual appealing. George Golub was looking at transportation infrastructure across all of New York State. And part of the problem of visualizing this is that we have fairly sparsely populated areas where it's relatively easy to put the infrastructure on the map, and then the densely populated areas of metropolitan New York. And to create a visual balance here is not easy. And again, he tried to do it from 4 different perspectives. Finally, we have Mingtao Lei, next slide, please. An undergraduate student who did something like a panel. The map itself spans about 4 feet in length, and it visualizes the journey of a Chinese scholar of about 600 AD. And we'll be talking about this map a little later because this eventually was the winner in our category of static maps. Next slide, please. Okay. I thought we have a set of an overview and then the actual winners. So
we can move forward.
Yes.
And then
now let me talk to. Here this is, I was going to say a few words about what makes this map so special. First of all, it's visually stunning. Steve was talking about the range of topics moving from generic geography to geographic information, and then visualizing that geographic information known as mapping science or cartography. Since our department has an emphasis on the geographic information side, we really spend a lot of time of mashing up data and trying to create analyses. But the final step, the communication of those results, is sometimes something that does not get its due weight because we really emphasize the analysis component. Since this is a mapping award, we really wanted to make sure that the mapping aspects are weighted duly, and Ming Tao did a superb job. In his set of maps on something that can be read like a scroll, the medium used back in 600 AD, he started with this, or he bookended his map with an outline of the political landscape in Asia at the beginning of his travels on the left-hand side, and then at the end of the scroll, it's how the political landscape has changed, how the Tang dynasty has really taken over by the time he returned. Next slide, please. So this scholar undertook 3 journeys out of the capital of the Tang dynasty, Chang'an, travels that were supposed to help the Chinese emperor understand the other empires. So there was a little bit of that military aspect in there, but to a large degree also a cultural understanding, because he visited India to see as a monk where the Buddhist sources of then Buddhist China originate from. So this is the first travel. Could we move on to the next slide? So that was 626 to 636. Then while he spent a lot of time in India, all of these trips, I don't know whether you realize how big India is. It's about the size of the United States. And what you see here is what he walked in 4 years, basically across the subcontinent of India. And finally, his third trip. Next slide, please. His return to Chang'an. He did all of this during the reign of one particular emperor, and really contributed to the understanding of the cultural resources as well the political landscape on behalf of the emperor. I happen to know about those 3 trips because during my sabbatical a year earlier, I attended a lecture of a Chinese scholar who is studying the very books where those journeys were documented. And so I sent Professor Xiao Fu at Florida International University those maps, and she was mightily impressed. She says those bookending maps are the best of the administrative boundaries that she has seen in her career. And while she scribbled a little bit about the details of the journeys within India, that was a scholarly scribble, as in the student did excellent detailed work looking at book resources and trying to interpret old resources, and there is no true or false. It's really a matter of interpretation. And so Professor Fu is really interested in discussing the way that our student has interpreted the data and created those maps. Mingtao is going to return to Beijing. He is looking forward to starting as a cartographer. And I believe he has basically given his masterpiece here and shown that he does a real good job. Next slide, please. So then we had this other map category of interactive maps, and Horia Popper joined us 3 years ago after having worked as a freelance cartographer, having taught himself cartography, not academically, but just because he really liked it. And he joined our GIS certificate program mostly to really learn cartography from an academic perspective, but also to advance the tool set and learn what GIS can do rather than just drawing packages that he has been working with. Horia submitted maps both for the static map competition, and then here those two are examples of maps for the interactive browser-based cartography. Next slide, please. So here he's submitted actually 2 websites which can be browsed, and on this first one we see how it looks when you zoom in and see individual schools. You see the schools in context of subway lines and stations, and symbolization is according to the type of school. Then when you click on one of these schools, and I didn't dare to do that interactively here because there are too many layers of internet use from our Zoom session to the live PowerPoint to then using something on the live website. So if we move on to the next slide, if you click on any of those dots, then you can see all the information that's hidden behind each of these points. And again, there's a lot of GIS work here. And in addition to just the GIS analysis and querying databases, Horia has also provided graphical information. This is something that can be interactively explored, so you can see the position of each school among all other schools in relationship to about a dozen different variables for each of the 2,000 schools that we have here in New York City. That is really only explorable in an interactive way. There's no way that this could be visualized on a static map. And Horia gave us a very fine example of 2 such interactive maps. So with that, my congratulations to Mingtao and to Horia. I would like to point out that Mingtao's, that Horia's work is really good in and by itself, even though it was the only submission in the interactive map competition. It would have been very hard for other students to match that level of both graphical expertise as well as the technology that he used and that he has shown that he has the GIS skills when he submitted the static map. All right, there's one further slide, and I believe we have somebody else talking. All right, so Mingtao didn't really want to talk himself, so he submitted a statement with respect to what he learned in our school. He is originally Chinese. He came over here, had struggled with the cultural differences, but really appreciated those differences as well. And he did well in school. He is either already on his way or will leave as soon as possible to China. And here it says he has recently applied for a cartography position. I believe he has a very good chance of actually getting that job as a cartographer. And both that Florida professor that I was talking about, as well as Professor Soon and myself, will be happy to write him all the references he needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe now we are going to hear. Okay, so Jochen, I just want to say that we also have Laura Ten Eyck, who is going to speak about the maps.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Professor Albrecht, for describing the wonderful maps that we saw earlier. I'm very pleased to announce that the winner for the best printed map, or static map as you called it, goes to Ming Tao for his beautiful, beautiful illustration of a Buddhist monk's 17-year journey overland from China to India. Not only is it, well, it's a thematic map, but it's an excellent illustration of the Tibetan Plateau and the political boundaries around the Tibetan Plateau. But it also stands out for its careful attention to font design, which is often forgotten by cartographers and map makers. It recalls the great Gerard Mercator's primary use of the alphabet text on his maps, and text in maps, the very practical, or the practice of using writing on maps is often tied to the state of self and one's place in the lineage of history. So I wanted to, in particular, note the incredible design and time that he took to label all of the countries and regions. So congratulations to Ming Tao. I don't know if he's here, but thank you so much. We're very proud at the New York Map Society to offer you the award. Okay, and then I don't know if you want to pull up the of Horia, who's our other winner. Hello, I don't know if you're here. Congratulations for being the winner of our award for Best Interactive Map. I just wanted to say New York City parents and students need all the help they can get while navigating applying. It's very confusing and complicated, and Horia's map was the best I've seen for explaining to students and parents what is around each school, how does each school relate to each other in terms of distance, and just a better overview than what the New York City, the Department of Education offers. His design, it included things that you might not or that you might not have access to when you're looking at schools. So we are congratulating you on your wonderful map, and thank you so much for submitting it to us.
Horia would like to speak.
Yes. Thank you very much, Laura. That was very, very
Thank you.
Thoughtful reflection, added new touches to what Jochen also presented to us as very, very thorough analysis of the submitted maps. So right now we would like to invite Horia Popa, the winner of the interactive map category, to say a few words.
Hello, everybody.
There you go. Great.
Thank you for the the prize, and I have to say, to admit that I really wanted to win both, and I am happy about Ming Tao. I think that the course that Professor San taught about interactive map applications is very important, and I really hope that he's going to go forward with it, because it becomes more and more important to present information quickly and reliably online, so a huge number of people can access it right away. In my case, the interactive maps were done as a result of my family searching for a middle school for our little one. And I saw that out there, there is a lack of data and tools to be able to compare really, like, you know, and the data coming from the DOE is not very helpful and hard to get. So I really hope that the department would find ways to improve the this web application course, even make it in 2, because it's really a involved area, including, you know, programming and the visual part. So I want to thank everybody, all my professors here, and you know, all the best to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Horia, so much. Congratulations to you and to Mintao. I just want to say that all maps that were submitted were amazing. I also think that it is wonderful that students invested so much time into making those maps, even under very, very harsh circumstances of this particular semester. Wonderful, congratulations. So right now we are moving to our next award, and this is Miriam and Saul Cohen prizes for geographic excellence. I would like to invite Professors Ines Miyares and Randy Radberg to explain to us what the award is about and to show us the winners. Thank you.
Well, it's my privilege to talk about Saul and Miriam Cohen, and to give students a context for how significant this award is. Saul is one of the pillars of our discipline. He was, I think, the last PhD awarded at Harvard in 1951 in geography. As a political geographer who had a very significant career as an academic, but also has been one of the most influential movers and shakers in K-20 education, especially in terms of geography. For example, he built essentially the program at the School of Geography at Clark University, of which Professor Poplovskaya is an alum. He spent time, for several years, he was president of Queens College. And during his tenure there, he was the one who organized Townsend Harris High School, which is one of the premier high schools in the city. He then came to Hunter College as faculty, a distinguished professor position. Now, I have had a very significant, Saul has had a very significant impact in my own career. The year I joined the American Association of Geographers, the AAG, I was a second-year master's student. Saul Cohen was the president of the association. And, listening to him speak when I went to my first AAG meeting as a second-year master's student, I was drawn to the aura that he has as he speaks. Very incredibly brilliant man. And then imagine my shock and panic when at the AAG meeting in 1994 in San Francisco, he is one of the Hunter faculty interviewing me for this position as a soon-to-be finishing PhD candidate. I go from looking up to this scholar, to him interviewing me, to him being a colleague down the hall. He has been absolutely committed to education, is now, when he retired from Hunter College after all of the other things of his career, he went on to become a New York State regent, and it is indefatigable. He continues to work as a regent. He was one of the regents who, for example, helped reorganize, the college in on Long Island that was on the verge of closing. He continues to work to incorporate geography into education across K-20. And it was a very significant influencer in my own involvement in geographic education early in my career, working with the New York State Geographic Alliance. And his influence is a big part of why I've been so active in improving our connections to the School of Education for both the MATEP program in social studies and the MATEP program for earth science education. So about a decade and a half ago, Saul Cohen, he and his wife chose to endow an award for our students here at this department. And it's for geographic excellence at the undergraduate and graduate level. This award is given to students who write incredible research papers based on their own research. Typically, these are at the undergraduate level taken from capstone projects, either from the geography major or the environmental studies major. And at the master's level, these are commonly papers taken from their master's research. These are publication quality papers written by students, and it has been our privilege over the years to award this prize to students. And we are so grateful to Miriam and Saul for endowing this prize. And I now am going to turn it over to my colleague, Randy Ruppberg, who will introduce the papers that were written this year, submitted at the undergraduate and graduate level, and announce the awardees. Randy?
Randy, are you muted?
Unmuted. Sorry. Hi. I am Randy Ruppberg, and I wish you a good afternoon, and I congratulate all of you on your accomplishments. I'm very proud of all of our graduates. The nominations for the undergraduate awards are Ankle Bega. His paper is entitled Studying the Effects of Urbanization on Northern Red Oak and Red Maple Street Trees, and his faculty mentor was Professor Andrew Ryman. A second submission was by Gabrielle Blevins. Her paper was entitled The Distribution of Hazard, Race, Neoliberalism, and Environmental Privilege. Her faculty mentor was Professor Pavlovsky. The third nomination was Christina Russo. Her paper is entitled Concentrations of Ambient Airborne Nickel and Vanadium in New York City. Sources, Spatial and Seasonal Variability, and Implications for Health and Environmental Justice. Her faculty mentor was Professor Mercatulio. I have had the privilege of teaching all three of these students in my classes, and I applaud them all for their excellent submissions. In fact, I will miss their presence at Hunter College. The winner of the undergraduate Cohen Prize is Ankle Bega. Congratulations, Ankle. Can I have the next slide? The nominations for the Graduate Award are Paul Bendernagel, and I hope I've pronounced that correctly, for multispectral remote sensing impact analysis of Hurricane Dorian on vegetation health in the northern Bahamas. His faculty mentor was Professor Niemeister, I believe, it's not here. And the second submission is from Tim Lau, Maps of Renarration Toward an Indigenous Cartography of Climate Change. and his faculty mentors were Professor Pavlovskaya and Professor Williamson. I would like to commend these two graduate students for their excellent work as well. The winner of this year's Cohen Award is Paul Bendernagel, and Paul would like to say a few words, so I turn the podium to him.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the award. Yeah, I guess I'd like to start by saying that sort of this research project and this paper provided a phenomenal opportunity for me to really go down the rabbit hole of an area of interest for me. And I think to the credit of Hunter College and the MGLI program in particular, I was equipped with the technical skills and analysis capabilities, but also given the creative latitude to pursue whatever sort of academic or intellectual path that I wanted within that framework. So yeah, this was a really rewarding project. It was developed sort of under the tutelage and guidance of Professor Niemeister, and then Professor Shiping Sung and Doug Williamson also assisted in bringing it into its final form that I submitted for my exam option for graduation. I think one thing that this project really hammered home for me is that with the tools that we gain through these programs and with the tools that are available to anyone, any citizen scientist, any community advocate, you have the tools to make sort of pretty profound insights, and always lean into your curiosity, especially now we're facing a lot of very complicated, multifaceted global problems that are interacting in ways that none of us are really going to be able to predict or foresee. So lean into your curiosity, be a good global citizen, and yeah, you'll always be happy with what you learn from the process, and something cool might come out at the end of it. So.
Thank you, Paul, so much. I think you really summarized very, very well the significance of the tools, right? Analytical tools that we teach in our department, and also the depth of expertise that students like you and others, right, learn with our department. And those tools can be applied indeed in so many different domains. Thank you for that, and congratulations again. So I would like to thank also Miriam and Cohen Sol for the award. Ines, how many years have been we have been awarding students with those wonderful prizes?
I've lost track. It's been about at least 10 years, if not longer. And it's
I think it's even longer. So
yeah, I think it's closer to 15 years. Yeah, but it's this prize, the fact that it's attached to Saul Cohen's name in his honor, this is a very significant prize. And if you went to any geographer across the United States and really across the world and said that you won a Saul Cohen Award for your research, they would be impressed. That's how significant Saul has been worldwide to the discipline and the profession of geography.
Absolutely. Now we are moving, we have to move forward, guys, because we still have several more people to honor, and Uncle Bega unfortunately can't participate in the ceremony, but we are going to return to him in a minute, actually. And right now we are moving to our next award, which is Oak Tree Award, which is contributed to our department by our former adjunct professor of many, many, many years, Jack Eichenbaum. And right now I'm inviting our long-term adjunct professor, Shruti Phillips, to please introduce the award and also announce the winner. Thank you, Shruti. Please come up.
Thank you, Mariana. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be speaking today on behalf of Dr. Jack Eichenbaum. Before I announce the winner of the Oak Tree Prize, I would like to say a few words about Jack Eichenbaum and the Oak Tree Prize. The prize is called that because of Jack Eichenbaum's family name. Eichenbaum in German and Yiddish means oak tree. Oak trees are an important species in the natural forest of New York City area. In fact, most of the trees in Central and Prospect Parks were born in Flushing. Dr. Eichenbaum was also born and still lives in Flushing, where the first tree nurseries in colonial America were founded. In the late 19th century, Flushing was home to the largest tree nursery in New York City. And earlier this year, Dr. Eichenbaum actually proposed a tree census in central Flushing, sponsored by the local Chamber of Commerce and the Parks Department, to be carried out by local students. And he hopes that the recipient of this prize will take part in this project. Jack Eichenbaum began a graduate study in geography in 1967, when quantitative methods were replacing regional geography as a paradigm in the discipline. In fact, 1967 was the first year that entering graduate students were not required to take a course in field methods, but it was fieldwork and exploration, the classical roots of geography, that attracted him to the subject. With undergraduate and master's degrees in chemical engineering and chemistry, respectively, he knew the importance of a laboratory. In geography, that laboratory was in our social and biophysical environment. After receiving a PhD in urban geography, he worked with the New York City Finance Department, collecting data and developing computerized models of property values. His ability to understand New York City empirically in terms of urban geographical principles was critical. In 2000, he also assumed an academic role at Hunter College as a part-time adjunct professor, teaching geography of New York City for 16 years. His class always included fieldwork. There were required walks, and leading a walk was also required. The final exam required exploration of a neighborhood. Finally, I'd like to end with Dr. Eichenbaum's own words. I quote, "Since geography, like most of social science, had come to de-emphasize the importance of fieldwork, in 2017, I endowed the Oak Tree Prize for the best student paper, including original fieldwork in New York City. I'm part of the committee that selected this year's nominee and winner, who is Enkel Bega. His study is entitled, Studying the Effects of Urbanization on Northern Red Oak and Red Maple Street Trees. At some point when norms permit, I would like to meet Enkel and congratulate him personally," end quote. I now invite Professor Andrew Reinman to introduce this year's winner of the Oak Tree Prize, Enkel Bega.
Great, thank you so much. It is a real honor to get to talk about Enkel. For those of you who have had the pleasure of getting to know Enkel either as a classmate or a student, you know that not only is he a really smart and capable student and also incredibly hardworking, but he's also just a wonderfully kind and nice student to have and person to know. And when Enkel took both of my classes, one of which involved quite a bit of fieldwork, which he enjoyed a lot. And when it came time for doing his thesis project, he came to me really wanting to do something hands-on and that involved fieldwork and better understanding how urbanization impacts trees. And so what really struck me as unique with Enkel's project was how ambitious he was for just a semester-long project. And even though I knew how capable Enkel was, I was a little bit unsure that he would actually get everything done. But his plan was to go and physically visit trees in all 5 boroughs of New York City and to sort of stratify street trees based on sort of the level of urbanness in the neighborhoods around them and quantify the extent to which urbanness played a role in the health of trees, and then to add another layer of complexity to compare 2 commonly planted street trees that also happen to be native trees in our area, and that was the red maple and the red oak, which I guess is appropriate for this prize. And somehow over the course of just a few weeks, he did actually get out and physically visited every borough in New York City, which you all know can take just the better part of 2 weeks just to get through the traffic to get to all of those locations. And all in all, he measured and quantified the health of more than 200 trees in New York City, and spent the rest of the semester doing some really wonderful GIS analyses and putting together some great maps and figures. And in the end, what he found was that the mighty oaks seemed to do okay across New York City, except for maybe the highest levels of urbanization. But the red maples seem to be quite a bit more sensitive to urbanization. And as part of his work, he used, New York City has this amazing database of the more than 600,000 street trees in the city. And all of them were surveyed for health about 5 or 6 years ago. And so he revisited, like I said, over 200 of those trees to see how their health had changed over the last 4 years. And this was just, you know, we've all worked with lots of students, and there's a lot of amazing projects that come out, and this is certainly one of them. And it was just a really amazing project that he pulled together. It was well written, and in such a short amount of time was really great. And so I couldn't be happier for Enkel. And I wish he were around to know that he got this award, but we're trying to reach out to him.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Shruti. Thank you so much, Andy, describing both the award and the winner of this award. I know that Jack Eichenbaum, who could not participate live today, is actually watching the session. So I think he will be very, very pleased, and I hope he will be able to meet Enkel and discuss the field work that he did for this project in person. So next slide, please. And one more. So now we are turning to our next award, and this is 2 awards from one of our very, very long-term and very, very generous donors, which is Society of Women Geographers, okay? And today I am asking Susan Leonard, who is a chair of New York chapter of Society of Women Geographers, to please come up and talk about the first award, which is graduate fellowship that we grant to the most outstanding female graduate students. Susan, please come up, thanks.
Good afternoon. I'm Susan Leonard, chair of the New York group of the Society of Women Geographers and former president of the Society. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to announce the winner of our Hunter College Fellowship for this year, and to give you all my congratulations for all of the graduates today. Let me give you some background about the Society. We were founded in 1925 by 4 exceptional women from New York: Marguerite Harrison, Blair Niles, Gertrude Shelby, and Gertrude Emerson Sen, all recognized explorers who created a group to bring together women who shared ambitions and interests in exploration and achievement. No women's organization then existed to share experiences. The Explorers Club did not go co-ed and admit women until the 80s. There was no women's organization at the time to share experiences, exchange knowledge derived from field work, and encourage women pursuing geographical exploration and research. In naming their organization, the Society of Women Geographers, the founders intended the word geographer in its broadest sense. In the Society's early years, there were still many unknown places and populations to be visited and studied, and Society members were in the vanguard of courageous explorers. Air transportation was just beginning when one of the first SWG members, Amelia Earhart, made her solo flight across the United States. Margaret Mead pioneered much of modern anthropology. Of the Society, Mead said, "This is my gang." Mary Douglas Lakey helped discover the earliest humans at Olduvai Gorge in Africa. Anastasia van Berkelo was a chair of the Hunter College Department of Geography. Alice Hudson, whom we've just heard about, was chair of the map division of the New York Public Library. With time, as communication and transportation have made the world a smaller place and opportunities for women have expanded, there is still a place for an organization devoted to multidisciplinary intellectual exchange and support among women. Today, our over 500 members worldwide are connected in ways our founders could not have imagined. Sylvia Earle, her deepness, has been exploring the depths of the ocean. Catherine Sullivan has walked in space and even now is preparing to go down to the Mariana Trench. In 1950, the New York group promoted the idea of a fellowship in geography, and several members began contributing. In 1956, Adeline Moffat left a bequest of $125,000 to firmly establish this fellowship. Ms. Moffat was a social worker working with the underprivileged in Massachusetts and New York. She was also a painter and poet, and she traveled extensively, visiting some 44 countries. Remember in 1950 how rare that was, a fitting mentor for our New York group. Since 2000, this fellowship has been awarded by the Hunter College Department of Geography and Environmental Science. Our 2010 award winner, Molly Whitaker Webb, became president of SWG in 2019. This year, the fellowship is awarded to Mishka Vance for her work developing a course and writing Digital Earth, the Impact of Geographic Technology Through the Ages. The fellowship carries an award of $9,000 to help towards expenses as she goes on in her career. Her advisor, Professor Sean Ahern, will now speak about Mishka.
Thank you very much, Susan. That was a fascinating introduction and discussion of the society. There's so much to say about Mishka. She actually first came to my attention when she was taking a seminar course with me. And, you know, at the end of the course, you're reading the papers at the end of the semester, and hers really stood out. I mean, it was beautifully written, it was well researched, it was cogent and concise. And I thought, wow, this is somebody very special. And so I was lucky enough to work with her along the way. And one of the courses that we had was called Digital Earth. And you know, I think we did a good job with the course. It was more sort of techie and tool-based. And after discussions with Mishka, you know, we thought, well, you know, actually geospatial technology has been around for hundreds of years, thousands of years, and it's really changed the society and how we do what we do. From the early days of navigation and mapping, to the management of cities, to the response, emergency response. I think Steve mentioned one of the early epidemiological study of John Snow. And of course, now it's being used extensively for the COVID-19. So Mishka, you know, she's one of those students who you plant a seed and she comes back with a tree or a forest. And that's just what happened. She basically developed this course on her own. And I believe it also is getting science credit in the CUNY pathway. And I should mention, not only she's a fabulous writer, quantitatively, she's a star. You know, I've talked to the professors who have taught her in some of the programming courses and so forth. And so she's a balanced scholar and an extraordinary scholar. So I can't wait to see what she does for her dissertation, and no pressure on you, Mishka, but I think you'd be a fabulous professor someday as well. So it's a real pleasure and honor to introduce Mishka Vance. And I believe she's on. She sent me a note she was. So Mishka, you want to take it from here?
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much. Just quickly, I just wanted to say thank you to you, Susan, and the Society for Women Geographers. Thank you to my advisor, Sean. It's been quite a whirlwind working with you and getting to know you these few years. And just thank you to the faculty and staff of this department for this recognition and for your continued support. So just thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, Mishka. Congratulations. Really, really amazing recognition, but also we are really hoping to see this course to be our mainstay. Really looking forward to it. So right now I'm going back to Susan Leonard, who's gonna introduce to us another award from Society of Women Geographers, which is Sally Clark Award.
I would first like to congratulate Mishka, and when we can, we look forward to having you in a year present to the Society and to Hunter College the results of the work that you've been doing. The Sally Clark Award was established by the New York group of the Society in 1982. It's a restricted fund whose investment income is used to help a woman student in geography complete her master's thesis. Sally Clark was born in 1883. Rather than stay home and help care for her siblings, she started working at Woolworth's for $3.50 a week. She became a lace buyer and a dress designer. In 1918, married to James Clark, the creator of the animal exhibits at the Museum of Natural History, she went off to Africa to shoot game. She never shot more than one shot to kill her animal. And it was not just to shoot, but she became an accomplished taxidermist and helped him set up the exhibits at the Museum of Natural History. At the age of 50, she turned from that to sculpture when she would be able to make sculptures of the animals rather than kill them and stuff them. We are happy to give this award to a young woman who will follow in this spirit of adventure, creativity, and discovery. The award of $560 this year goes to Camila Oliveira. She has submitted 2 projects: Environmental Hazards, the hazard caused by the fires in the Amazon in 2019, and International Pollution, why New York should utilize incinerators over landfills. Both projects were overseen by her advisor, Professor Enrique Lanz Oca, who will speak about her now. And congratulations, Camilla.
Good afternoon to everybody, and thank you very much, Susan, for this unbelievable description about this precise hunter, I am going to say for sure. It is a pleasure and honor to present Señorita Camila Sousa de Oliveira for this Sally Clark Award. What I would like to say is, since the first day that I heard Camila with her incredible Sao Paulo accent in our course or courses, International Pollution and Environmental Hazards, I could see her extraordinary qualities as a researcher, thinker, and overall as an individual. Camila always enriched our classes with thoughtful questions, commentaries, and personal experiences. She has demonstrated an incredible discipline and effort capable of overcoming the typical difficulties that characterize the international students, and especially nowadays during this pandemic that we have. Her main focus, it is true, and it is reflected in one of her papers, is about the dilemma, I am going to say, between the incineration and the landfill in New York City. But I would like especially to emphasize mainly the second paper that I think has a much bigger local and planetary emphasis, I am going to say. Her second paper is about the fires in the Amazonian region in 2019. And as you know, fires that were in a massive scale, as big as almost in Australia. I was really amazed about how Camila investigated this topic. Camila was able to unfold the network that it is behind the fires. Camila illuminates powerfully the environmental injustice caused by the extreme populist movements and aggressive economic policies in the conquest of nature. Fires, farmers, banks, corporations, and the Bolsonaro's administration were really very well uncovered as the main agencies behind this ecological, and I would like to say planetary catastrophe. Camila, the future is waiting for you. And with your capacity and knowledge, you will contribute to the change of our societies. Congratulations, molto obrigado, and parabéns, señorita Camila.
Thank you, Enrique, so much. We are now waiting for Camila to come up and say what she has to say. Okay, I think we have a little technical difficulty, so we are going to wait for Camila. But while we are waiting for her, I would like to orient us towards our next part of the ceremony. So Camila would be the last person to speak in this second part of awards presentations. And that would be the end of the official part of our reception. After that, we are going to invite everybody to join our screen so that finally we can be all together live, even though virtually. So that would be the opportunity for other students to say what they would like to say, to thank people who helped them through with receiving degrees and working on those wonderful research projects. So I'm also inviting faculty, I'm also inviting staff, I'm also inviting family members, everybody who is out there, please, you will be joining us right after Camila says her words. Okay, Camila supposedly is on, but somehow we can hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now we can. Hi, Camila.
Hi, everybody. I miss you people. I miss everyone. So I just want to thank you, all the professors, because all of them help the students in different ways. And for this paper, I want to thank Professor Henrique Lance, who always encouraged his students to actively be the change, explaining how the system works, and that we are not a number. We have a voice and hands to work. And yes, in 2020, instead of working on better solutions for the environment and the people who live on it, we still have to write about how the environment has been destroyed by and with the help of some leaders who make profit of it. So as a Brazilian professor once said, his name is Paulo Freire, education doesn't change the planet. Education changes people, and people change the planet. So with all that's currently happening, all I can say is, because I'm overwhelmed with all the situation that's happening right now. So educate yourself and vote, so we can improve the relationship between people and the environment, and yes, between our own species, because we all, regardless any color, not anything that's happening, we belong to the same species. That's Homo sapiens, right? That's all what matters. Thank you, everyone, and I miss you guys and see everybody soon.
Thank you, Camila. That was absolutely wonderful. So at this note, I would like to invite everybody to the screen. So the way we are going to do it is that Jonathan, who is running our slideshow, will stop sharing the screen, and those of you who would like to come up to the screen, please raise your hands. And so our ICET staff will then promote you to panelists, and so we all will be on the screen at the same time. And also, if you're on the screen, but you're muted or we can see you, so please turn on your videos so we could see you all. Thank you very much. If anybody wants to say something, this is your opportunity. To the students, to each other. So now, okay, so can I ask our colleagues to please take our group photo? so that we could have that as, I don't know, a memory of that particular event. Peter, we have to see your video. I don't see Peter right here. Ooh. Is somebody taking the video, the screenshot? Because if not, then I can take the screenshot.
Do it on our end.
Yes, we are taking.
Okay. Okay. So, dear students, what do you think? It was virtual, but we worked very, very hard on it.
I volunteer Ming Tao to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
You guys want me to say something? I just really appreciate the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies in Hunter College. Without Hunter, I couldn't achieve the skill that today I have. It has been a very joyful 2 years for